My name is Jordan Hayes, and I've been in love with my best friend for exactly 4 years, 2 months, and 16 days. Not that I'm counting. Lucas Chen and I met freshman year of high school when we were both awkward 14-year-olds trying to navigate the social minefield of a new school. He was the quiet kid who sat in the back of English class sketching in the margins of his notebook. I was the theater kid who talked too much and had opinions about everything. We shouldn't have been friends, but when we got paired up for a group project on Romeo and Juliet, something clicked. "This play is ridiculous," Lucas had said during our first meeting at the library. They knew each other for like 3 days. "It's about passion," I'd argued. "Sometimes you just know." He'd looked at me with those dark, intelligent eyes and said, "You don't believe that." "Maybe I want to," I'd admitted. And that was it, we were inseparable. 4 years later, we were 18, seniors preparing for graduation and still best friends. Lucas was still quiet and artistic, now an incredible painter with a portfolio that had already gotten him into several prestigious art schools. I was still loud and opinionated, heading to NYU for theater in the fall. And I was still hopelessly, desperately in love with him. The problem, Lucas was straight, or at least I thought he was. He'd had a girlfriend sophomore year, a sweet girl named Maya who he'd dated for 6 months before they mutually decided they were better as friends. Since then, nothing. No girlfriends, no dates, no interest in anyone that I could see. But he'd never shown interest in guys either. And I'd never had the courage to tell him I was gay, let alone that I'd been in love with him since I was 15. So I suffered in silence, treasuring every moment we spent together while knowing it would never be enough. That's why when Lucas texted me on a Friday afternoon in late April, my heart nearly stopped. "Lucas, parents going to visit my grandma in SF this weekend, leaving tonight, want to come over, we can watch movies, order pizza, whatever." It wasn't unusual for us to hang out. We spent almost every weekend together, but something about this invitation felt different, more intentional. "Me sure what time?" "Lucas come around 7, they're leaving at 6. "Me perfect, see you then." I stared at my phone, trying to calm my racing heart. It was just a normal hangout. Lucas invited me over all the time. The fact that his parents wouldn't be home meant nothing. Except it felt like it meant everything. I arrived at Lucas's house at exactly 7 p.m., carrying my overnight bag and trying not to overthink the fact that I'd changed my outfit 3 times. Lucas answered the door in sweatpants and a faded art school t-shirt, his black hair slightly messy like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked nervous, which was unusual. Lucas was always the calm one between us. "Hey," he said, stepping aside to let me in. "Hey yourself, big empty house all to ourselves, we could throw a rager." He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Yeah, because that's so us." The Chen family home was beautiful, modern, and minimalist, with Lucas's artwork displayed throughout. His parents were both professors at UC Berkeley, successful and supportive in that intense Asian parent way that demanded excellence but celebrated achievement. They knew I was gay. I'd come out to Lucas's parents before I'd come out to my own, actually. They'd been wonderful about it, treating me exactly the same as always. Lucas's mom, Dr. Chen, had even given me a hug and said, "We love you, Jordan, always." I'd cried in their bathroom for 10 minutes after that. "You want to order pizza now or later?" Lucas asked, leading me to the living room. "Later is fine, I'm not really hungry yet." I dropped my bag by the couch. "What did you want to watch?" "Actually," Lucas sat down, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "I was thinking we could just talk for a bit if that's okay." My stomach flipped. "Sure, of course, everything okay?" "Yeah, no, maybe." He let out a frustrated breath. "I don't know, Jordan, there's something I need to tell you, something I've been trying to figure out how to say for a while now." Oh God, this was it, he knew. Somehow he'd figured out that I was in love with him, and now he was going to let me down gently and our friendship would never be the same. "Okay," I said carefully, sitting down on the opposite end of the couch. "You can tell me anything, you know that." "I know, that's what makes this so hard." He looked at me and I saw genuine fear in his eyes. "Promise me something first." "What?" "Promise me that no matter what I say, we'll still be friends, that you won't hate me or think I'm crazy or—" "Lucas," I moved closer, placing my hand on his shoulder. I could never hate you, you're my best friend, nothing you say is going to change that. He looked at my hand on his shoulder, then back at my face. You might change your mind after you hear this. Try me. He took a deep breath like he was about to jump off a cliff. I think I might be gay. The world stopped. Time froze. My brain short-circuited. What? I managed to choke out. Or by, I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. The words came faster now, like a dam had broken. I've been questioning for a while, over a year actually. At first I thought I was just confused or maybe going through a phase, but it kept getting stronger and I couldn't ignore it anymore, and I've been doing research and reading about it and talking to people online, and I think, I'm pretty sure, I'm attracted to guys. Maybe exclusively, I don't know yet. I was staring at him, I knew I was staring, but I couldn't seem to stop. Jordan, say something please. I needed words. How long have you known? Known, or suspected? He ran his hand through his hair. I started suspecting maybe sophomore year after Maya and I broke up. I realized I'd never really been attracted to her or any girl really. I dated her because it seemed like what I was supposed to do, but it never felt right. Why didn't you tell me? The question came out more hurt than I intended. Because I was scared, because I didn't know how to talk about something I barely understood myself. Because, he looked away. Because you're important to me, Jordan, you're the most important person in my life, and I was terrified that if I told you something would change between us. So why tell me now? He met my eyes again, and there was something raw and vulnerable in his expression. Because I can't keep lying to you, because you're gay and you've been so brave about it and I've been a coward. Because I'm leaving for college in 4 months and I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I'd just been honest. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. Honest about what? Yeah. Lucas opened his mouth, then closed it, shook his head. Can we talk about this, about me being gay or questioning or whatever I am? I need someone I can be real with about this, and you're the only person I trust. It wasn't a confession of feelings, it wasn't what my hopeful, stupid heart had leapt to imagine, but it was something. It was Lucas trusting me with his truth. Of course, I said, pushing down my own complicated emotions. Of course we can talk about it, I'm honored you told me. The relief on his face was palpable. Yeah. Yeah, Lucas, this doesn't change anything between us. Well, it changes some things, but not the important stuff. You're still my best friend, I'm still here for you, always. Thank you, he whispered. God, Jordan, thank you. We talked for hours. I told him about my own coming out journey, the confusion and fear and eventual acceptance. He told me about his questions and research, the online forums he'd been reading, the YouTube videos that had helped him understand himself. Have you told your parents? I asked. Not yet, I wanted to tell you first, figure out what I'm even saying before I say it to them. They'll be supportive, you know that, right? Your parents are amazing. I know, I'm lucky, he smiled slightly. I'm just scared, you know, even when you know people will accept you, it's still terrifying to say it out loud. I know, I did know, coming out never stopped being scary even to people you trusted. We ordered pizza around 9, eating it while watching a movie neither of us really paid attention to. The conversation had opened something between us, a new level of intimacy, of trust. But it had also opened a door I'd kept carefully locked for 4 years, because now Lucas wasn't straight. Now there was a possibility, however small, that maybe. No, I couldn't go there. He was questioning his sexuality, figuring himself out. The last thing he needed was his best friend complicating everything with inconvenient feelings. Around 11, Lucas paused the movie. Want to see something? Sure. He led me upstairs to his room, a space I'd been in 1,000 times but which suddenly felt different, more charged. His room was a reflection of him, organized but lived in, with artwork covering every wall and paint-stained drop cloths protecting the hardwood floor. He went to his closet and pulled out a large canvas, turning it to face me. I gasped. It was a painting of 2 figures, abstract but clearly masculine, their forms intertwined in a way that was both intimate and tender. The colors were bold, blues and golds and deep purples, and there was something achingly beautiful about the way the figures seemed to belong together. I painted this last month, Lucas said quietly. I've been too scared to show anyone, but I wanted you to see it. It's incredible, I breathed. Lucas, this is some of your best work. You think so? I know so, I looked at him. Is this how you've been processing everything? Yeah, art is the only way I know how to make sense of my feelings. He set the painting down carefully. I have others too, a whole series actually. I've been calling it Becoming. Can I see them? He hesitated then nodded. One by one, he showed me paintings that chronicled his journey. Some were dark and confused, all tangled lines and murky colors. Others were bursting with light, celebrating discovery and self-acceptance. They were raw and honest and absolutely stunning. These are going to get you into every art school in the country, I said. They're that good. You really think so? I know so. He smiled, genuine and warm. Thank you for understanding, for being here, for being you. Always, I said, and meant it with my whole heart. We went back downstairs around 11:30, settling onto the couch to finish our movie, but neither of us could really focus. There was a tension in the air now, not uncomfortable but present, electric. Jordan, Lucas said as the credits rolled. Yes. Can I ask you something personal? Of course. When did you know that you were gay? I thought about it. I think I always knew on some level, but I couldn't admit it to myself until I was 15. There was this guy in my theater class and I couldn't stop thinking about him. That's when I knew I couldn't keep pretending. Were you scared? Terrified. Coming out was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Do you have any regrets about coming out, I mean? No, never. Being honest about who I am, it was like I could finally breathe for the first time. I looked at him. Why do you ask? I'm trying to imagine it, telling people, living openly. It seems impossible and necessary at the same time. It gets easier, I promise. He nodded, but he still looked troubled. What else is on your mind? I asked gently. There's something else, something I haven't told you yet. My heart rate picked up. Okay. Lucas checked his phone, 11:58 p.m., it's almost midnight. Is that significant? Maybe. I made myself a promise that if you came over tonight I would tell you by midnight. No chickening out, no backing down, just honesty. Tell me what? He turned to face me fully and I saw his hands were shaking. Jordan, there's a reason I wanted to tell you about being gay. A reason I needed to do it now, before we graduate, before we go to different colleges and our lives go in different directions. The clock on the wall ticked to midnight. I'm in love with you, Lucas said. The world tilted. I've been in love with you for years, he continued, the words tumbling out now. Maybe since we first met. I don't even know when it started. I just know that one day I realized you were the most important person in my world and I couldn't imagine my life without you, and it wasn't just friendship, it was more, it was everything. I couldn't breathe. I know this is a lot, he said quickly. I know I just came out to you and now I'm dropping this on you and it's completely unfair and you probably don't feel the same way and I'm ruining everything, but I couldn't leave for college without telling you. I couldn't spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Lucas, I interrupted. He stopped, looking at me with those beautiful, terrified eyes. I'm in love with you too. Silence. What? He whispered. I'm in love with you? I have been for 4 years. Since we were 15 and you laughed at my terrible Romeo impression and I realized I wanted to make you laugh like that every day for the rest of my life. You're serious? Completely serious. Lucas, you're all I think about. You're the reason I joined the art club even though I can barely draw. You're the reason I memorized your coffee order and why I learned Mandarin even though I'm terrible at languages. Everything I do, I wonder if Lucas would like this, or I can't wait to tell Lucas about this. Tears were streaming down his face. Why didn't you say anything? Because I thought you were straight, because I was terrified of losing you, because I'd rather have you as a friend than not have you at all. God, Jordan, we're idiots. Complete idiots, I agreed, laughing through my own tears. Can I? He moved closer. Can I kiss you? Please. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. But I didn't. I met him halfway, and when our lips touched, it felt like coming home. The kiss was soft at first, tentative and exploring. Then Lucas's hand came up to cup my face and I melted into him, years of longing and want and love pouring into this single perfect moment. When we finally broke apart, both of us were breathing hard. Wow, Lucas breathed. Yeah, I agreed. Wow. I've been wanting to do that for so long. Me too. He smiled bright and beautiful and free. So what now? Now, I said, taking his hand, we figure it out together. We stayed up until 3 in the morning talking about everything. Our feelings, our fears, what this meant for us. I'm still figuring out my sexuality, Lucas said as we lay on the couch, my head on his chest, his fingers running through my hair. I know I'm attracted to you, but I don't know if I'm attracted to all guys or just you or what label fits. You don't need to figure it all out tonight, I told him. You can take your time, there's no rush. What about us? Are we together now? Do you want to be? Yes, God, yes, I've wanted that for so long, he paused. But I'm also scared. What if I'm bad at this? What if I mess everything up? I turned to look up at him. Lucas, you've been my best friend for 4 years. You already know me better than anyone else in the world. Being together isn't going to change that, it's just going to make it better. You really think so? I know so. He smiled and kissed the top of my head. I can't believe this is real. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and it'll all have been a dream. If it is, we're having the same dream. Good. We fell asleep like that, tangled together on the couch, and it was the best sleep of my life. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows and Lucas watching me with soft eyes. Hey, he said quietly. Hey, I smiled. This is real, right? Last night actually happened. It happened, he kissed me softly. I'm in love with you and you're in love with me and we're together. Say it again. Which part? All of it. He laughed. I'm in love with you, Jordan Hayes. I'm crazy about you. I want to be with you. I love you too, I said, the words feeling natural and right, so much. We made breakfast together, pancakes that were slightly burnt because we kept getting distracted kissing, and talked about what came next. We should tell our parents, Lucas said. Yeah, how do you want to do that? I need to come out to mine first, about being gay, I mean, then I can tell them about us. He looked nervous. Will you be there when I do it for moral support? Of course, whenever you're ready. What about your parents? I grimaced. That's more complicated. They know I'm gay, but they're not exactly supportive about it. They tolerate it but don't celebrate it, if that makes sense. I'm sorry. It's okay, I've made peace with it, but telling them I have a boyfriend and that boyfriend is you, who they've known since we were 14, that's going to be weird. We'll figure it out, Lucas said, echoing my words from the night before. His parents came home Sunday evening. Lucas asked them to sit down for a family meeting and I sat beside him on the couch holding his hand for support. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something, Lucas began. I'm gay. Dr. Chen and Mr. Chen exchanged a look, and then Dr. Chen smiled. We know, sweetheart, she said gently. Lucas blinked. You know. We've suspected for a while, Mr. Chen said. We were waiting for you to be ready to tell us. And you're okay with it. We love you, Dr. Chen said firmly. Exactly as you are, your sexuality doesn't change that. Lucas started crying and his mom pulled him into a hug. I felt my own eyes getting wet watching them. When they separated, Lucas took a deep breath. There's something else. Jordan and I were together like dating, we're boyfriends. I held my breath, waiting for their reaction. Dr. Chen looked at me, then back at Lucas, then smiled. Well, it's about time. What? Lucas and I said in unison. Lucas, honey, we've watched you two dance around each other for years, Mr. Chen said. We're just glad you finally figured it out. You knew I had feelings for Jordan. It was pretty obvious, his mom said kindly, to everyone but you two, apparently. I laughed, relief flooding through me. Thank you for being so supportive, for accepting us. Jordan, your family, Dr. Chen said. You have been for years, this just makes it official. Telling my parents was harder. I'd invited them to dinner on a Wednesday with Lucas by my side for support. My mom and dad were polite but distant. They'd been that way since I came out sophomore year. So what's this about? My dad asked, cutting into his steak. I wanted to tell you something important. I reached for Lucas's hand under the table. Lucas and I are dating. My mom's fork clattered onto her plate. You're what? We're together, we're boyfriends. Silence. I see, my dad said finally, his voice carefully neutral. And how long has this been going on? Officially, about 2 weeks, but we've had feelings for each other for years. Years, my mom repeated, so all this time when we thought you two were just friends. We were just friends until we weren't. More silence. Are you happy? My dad asked quietly. The question surprised me. Yes, very happy. He nodded slowly. Then I suppose that's what matters. It wasn't acceptance exactly, but it wasn't rejection either. For my parents it was progress. Lucas squeezed my hand under the table, and I squeezed back. The last 2 months of senior year were magical. Lucas and I were inseparable, but now in a different way. We held hands in the hallways. He kissed me goodbye after school. We went to prom together, Lucas in a black tux, me in navy blue, both of us glowing with happiness. Coming out at school was easier than expected. Most people were supportive or at least indifferent. A few people made comments, but Lucas had a way of shutting them down with a single cold look that made me fall even more in love with him. I spent so long hiding, he told me one night as we stargazed in his backyard. I'm not hiding anymore, not about being gay and definitely not about being with you. We made plans for the future. NYU and RISD weren't that far apart. We could visit on weekends, spend holidays together, make it work long distance. I'm not losing you, Lucas said fiercely. We just found each other. I'm not letting distance ruin this. We'll make it work, I agreed. Whatever it takes. Graduation came too fast. Lucas gave the valedictorian speech, a beautiful talk about becoming who you're meant to be, about having the courage to be authentic. His eyes found mine in the audience, and I knew he was speaking to me. After the ceremony, our families took photos together. Lucas's parents hugged me and congratulated both of us. My parents were stiff but present, which was something. That night, Lucas and I lay on a blanket in his backyard, watching the stars. I can't believe it's over, he said. High school, this chapter of our lives. It's not over, it's just changing. I'm scared, he admitted. What if long distance is too hard? What if we drift apart? We won't, we're stronger than that. I turned to face him. Lucas, I've loved you for 4 years while thinking I'd never have you. Now that you're mine, I'm not letting go, not for distance, not for anything. Promise. Promise. He kissed me, soft and sweet under the stars, and I felt certain about our future in a way I'd never felt certain about anything. The first year of college was hard. Long distance was harder than either of us had anticipated. Between classes and homework and new friends and activities, finding time to talk became a challenge. We FaceTimed when we could, visited every few weeks, but it was never enough. I miss you, Lucas said during one late-night call in October. I know we just saw each other 2 weeks ago, but I miss you. I miss you too, every day. Is this going to get easier? I don't know, but we're going to keep trying, right? Right. There were hard moments, times when we fought over misunderstandings or felt disconnected, times when I wondered if we were holding on too tight to something that wasn't working. But then Lucas would show up at my dorm on a Friday night, having taken a bus 3 hours just to spend the weekend with me. Or I'd receive a package with one of his paintings, a new addition to his Becoming series, this one showing 2 figures together, intertwined but whole. And I'd remember why we were fighting for this. Summer after freshman year, we both came home to the Bay Area. The first night we were both back, Lucas invited me over. His parents were out visiting his grandmother again, coincidentally, and it felt like coming full circle. It's been a year, Lucas said as we sat on the same couch where we'd confessed our feelings. Since that night I told you I was gay. Best night of my life, I said. Mine too, he smiled. Want to know something? I almost didn't invite you over that night, I was so scared. What made you do it? I realized that fear was a terrible reason not to do something. That the worst thing wasn't you rejecting me, it was spending my whole life wondering what if. I'm glad you were brave. Me too, he kissed me softly. I have something for you, wait here. He disappeared upstairs and came back with a wrapped canvas. Open it, he said, looking nervous and excited. I unwrapped it carefully and gasped. It was a painting of us, not realistic but clearly recognizable, 2 figures on a couch, one confessing to the other, the colors vibrant and alive with emotion. At the bottom he'd written, Midnight Confessions, the night everything changed. Lucas, I breathed, this is incredible. It's yours, I painted it for you for us, to remember that night and all the courage it took to get there. I pulled him into a kiss, trying to pour all my love and gratitude into it. I have something for you too, I said when we broke apart. I pulled out my phone and showed him a video I'd been working on for months, a compilation of every moment we'd captured together over the years, set to music, ending with clips from our relationship. Lucas cried watching it. We've come so far, he said. We have, and we have so much further to go. Together. Always together. 5 years after that midnight confession, I stood in a gallery in New York City, surrounded by Lucas's artwork. His Becoming series had launched his career. Critics called it groundbreaking, a powerful exploration of queer identity and love. He'd been featured in major publications, had gallery showings across the country. But this show was special. It was called Our Story, and every painting was about us. Our first meeting, our friendship, the night of the confession, our long-distance struggles, our reunions, our love. Lucas found me standing in front of the painting from that summer after freshman year, the one he'd given me 5 years ago. You kept it, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. Of course I kept it, it's one of my most precious possessions. I have something more precious to give you. He turned me around and I saw him reaching into his pocket. Jordan Hayes, he said, dropping to one knee. My hands flew to my mouth. 5 years ago at midnight I told you I loved you. It was the scariest and best thing I'd ever done. You've been my best friend, my partner, my home ever since, and I can't imagine spending the rest of my life with anyone but you. He opened a small box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. Will you marry me? Yes, I said, tears streaming down my face. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. The gallery erupted in applause. Our friends and family had all been there, watching, waiting for this moment. Lucas stood and kissed me, and I tasted salt from both our tears. I love you, he whispered against my lips. I love you too, always have, always will. Later that night, back at our apartment in Brooklyn, we lay in bed together, the ring on my finger catching the moonlight. Remember when you were terrified to tell me, I said, when you thought it would ruin everything. I was an idiot. A brave idiot. What made you so sure, he asked. That night when I confessed, you didn't even hesitate. How did you know we'd work? Because I'd loved you for 4 years already. I knew who you were, your heart, your soul, everything that mattered. Adding romance to that foundation didn't scare me. It felt inevitable. Like we were always meant to end up here. Exactly like that. He kissed me softly. I'm glad I was brave enough to invite you over that night. I'm glad you trusted me with your truth. All my truths are yours now. And mine are yours. We fell asleep tangled together just like that first night 5 years ago when a midnight confession had changed everything. Because sometimes the scariest moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Sometimes your best friend becomes your forever. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to speak your truth at midnight, you discover that the person you love has been waiting to hear it all along.